All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms that I can't remember because my brain is Swiss cheese. Yes, this is one of my homebrew D&D campaigns that my weird messed up homebrew campaign setting, and my brain is just done, guys. Thanks so much for showing up. Good night.
We all level up. Woo!
Yes, everybody levels up, and you win. My version of Strahd is dead. Wow.
We waited.
It is impressive how gone my brain is. Yes, I'm going to be running D&D. If anyone's coming back from last week and trying to figure out why everything looks so different, I do run 2 D&D campaigns every other week. So first and third Wednesday of the month is Traversing the Veil. Second and fourth is Legend of the Three Kingdoms, which is this one. This is my higher level campaign. They're all level 17, right? You guys are 17
Yep.
right now?
You're at level 17.
So yeah, this is tier 4 stuff. They're dealing with my own domain of dread that I've created, and lots of heavy duty, creepy ass shit that every time I come up with a new story point, I think my therapist should know about this. Yeah. So that being said, announcer moments. I'm trying to think of anything super big. The new Transformers book came out. The new Transformers RPG book came out this past week. It's called The Enigma of Combination, and it's designed to let you play Transformers that can go full on Voltron. It's cool. I did an in-depth review. It's on my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/trainerjody. But due to the fact that the Essence 20 system already has a system for robots that combine into a larger robot because they have Power Rangers, I thought that combiners would use the same system, and they don't. They have a very different system for the combiner robots that includes ways to knock the combiners out of their combined form. So it's impressive to me. I'm total for it. And the system itself, or the book itself, is gorgeous, as all the Essence 20 books are. So check out my in-depth review if you want more stuff about it. But overall, I was impressed. I thought it was going to be another, because I'm not a massive Transformers fan. I'm a much bigger fan of Power Rangers. And so I wasn't sure if I was going to be that into this book. But it was cool, man. It's very cool.
I'm just putting it out there. I know older iterations exist. I think if anyone could do it, I think Renegade could do a good job. Do a Ghostbusters RPG. I would really like that.
Yeah, I did a thing on my YouTube channel where I just asked
Yeah, I saw that one.
I asked my viewers to recommend RPGs that I could just look at a character sheet and try to infer as much as I could. And the first one I did was for the old 80s Ghostbusters RPG, which I went back after I did the video, which is also on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jody. But I went back and actually looked up the RPG. The RPG is not in print anymore. However, there's a website that has the entire RPG on it as PDFs that you can look at for free. And I found out that the company that made the Ghostbusters RPG, I can't remember the name of the company, but the Ghostbusters RPG was the first iteration of, I think it's called the 3D6 system, which is the system that was later used for the tabletop game Paranoia, which does still exist to this day. They've had a couple different editions since the late 80s, but Paranoia is a phenomenally nonsense RPG.
Oh yeah, I've seen it played several times. It's just lunacy.
It's great. You live in a dystopian society that's watched over by a computer called Friend Computer.
Frank Computer.
And the name Paranoia is built on the idea that everything you do is kind of motivated by this extreme paranoia that something is going to happen, or one of the other people is going to betray you, or the computer itself, or you are going to betray the computer, or Like, it is just a
It
nonsense fun
encourages
time.
you to fuck over your teammates.
It's great. It's absolutely great. So I did find it interesting that that was the kind of genesis of the system that it powered Paranoid. They used it for a bunch of different licensed systems as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, Ghostbusters RPG would be fun. I think there's probably like, if I had to take a guess, the Everyday Heroes system, their claim to fame is they will just buy up licenses and create RPGs. I have, I think, like half a dozen different Everyday Hero RPGs, which include a Pacific Rim RPG, a Highlander RPG, which is badass, by the way. Um,
If you want to fuck with them, do a do one of those and make it the Funimation Ghostbusters.
the real Ghostbuster. Oh wait, no, was that the other
No,
one that was
Funimation
not
was
the
just
right?
the
No,
ghost.
it
They
was
were
just the
just
Ghostbusters. Yeah.
Ghostbusters because they were able to get away with that because they owned the name. Because Sony paid them so they could use it for the movie,
Yeah.
and then they were just like, "Well, fuck it. Well, we own it, and we had a kid show in the '60s. Let's do it for a cartoon now."
There's so many interesting things. I posited to my players who were talking about Essence 20 and the fact that there's no fantasy version of Essence 20. It's all science fiction, Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, Transformers. My Little Pony is technically fantasy, but it's such a different game. So I thought, what would be a cool kind of crossover compatible Essence 20 license? And my thought was the Redwall series. I would love a Redwall RPG. And
There
I
is a
think
Redwall
Essence.
RPG.
There isn't. There are Redwall computer games, but there, or at least there
I
currently is not
swear I've
one.
seen it play. There was like the way they played it was through
They
cards.
they have there's an RPG called Root, which is theme wise very similar to Redwall, but as far as an officially licensed Redwall RPG, I don't believe it exists. I'm sure there are people that have used Root and a couple other RPGs to kind of mimic it. But to my knowledge, there is no officially licensed Redwall RPG, or at least it's no longer in print. Uh, so anyway, I thought that would be cool. Somebody else suggested a Castlevania RPG, which would be badass and fun. But I have run a Castlevania RPG that I think, Scott, did you play in one of my Castlevania games for one of the 48-hour live streams? I can't remember. I thought one of you guys did.
Um,
It was years
I
ago.
don't think so.
Alright, maybe I'm thinking of something else. There's my brain is so Swiss cheese that a lot of a lot of you people, a lot of you, I can't remember how it was we got in contact. I just have known you for close to a decade at this point. So I kind of mix up because Scott, you've done most of my like side story stuff. Like you were a Power Ranger and you were in my Fabula Ultima, and I think you did a bunch of the one shot ones that I did the year before.
Did all of you one.
Yeah.
All of you did some of one song.
So yeah, Scott just basically if I go, hey, who wants to, before the words are out of my mouth, Scott's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
So
No, for the safety, I was in the firefighting when you swim.
oh yeah.
And then I went in the game with a Kiva and Carmen Candy.
was that the one that Jeff Miller ran the Jerd? Or was that a
No.
different one?
Kiva and David with it.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
guys, forever ago, back
Yeah.
when I was a real boy. I did this thing for 2 years in a row where we played D&D for 48 hours, and it was amazing. We raised like over $7,000 for Extra Life, and the first year we got Laura Bailey to donate, and I made the Critical Role cast cry because I gave them the medal that we earned. The medal that we earned the second year, I still actually have. That's That's my extra life medal up there. That you guys can't see on stream, but it's there.
I actually based that Firefly adventure on Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, as horrible as it sounds, the only thing I remember about that adventure is waking up in the middle of it and just going like, oh, I was asleep, what?
Yeah.
And just kind of like jumping back into it.
Well, I think you had to run an adventure you had to
Yeah,
like on the fly
that
make something
was-
up and run an adventure for somebody else.
We had a dude that I've not spoken to since, but he was going to run the 4-hour adventure before that one, and my plan had been to sleep during that time because I had run an 8-hour adventure. There was a 4-hour adventure after that, and then his adventure, and I was planning on sleeping in those 8 hours in between. And I got a message from one of the players because I was constantly just keeping up to make sure everything was going well. And I got a message from one of the players going, "Hey, it's like 5 minutes to go and our DM isn't here." And that's weird. And so I messaged the dude, nothing. And it's like a couple minutes before it's supposed to go. I'm like, okay, guys, I'm going to run the adventure. They're like, do you have the adventure? No, I do not. And so I went and I looked, in order to get people to sign up, I had everyone write a small, like 3 or 4 sentence pitch for what their adventure would be. And so I read his pitch, and then I just made up shit that used some of those words in it. And I ran a 4-hour bullshit adventure that looked pre-planned. And no one was the wiser. And then I did Daniel's. And I felt really bad. And I can't remember if I told you, like, hey, this is what happened. So if I seem weird. Or if I just fell asleep on you.
I think we knew what was going
Okay.
on. So
No, I
Yeah.
was in that 4-hour bullshit adventure that you made.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Is it as good as I remember? Because I remember thinking,
No,
wow,
it
this
was
is going well.
It was a good session. It went well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it could have just been the fever taking over. But it was, I would love to run like a D&D or like a tabletop RPG, like reality TV show where we basically force DMs to just make up adventures on the spot and see how well they do, because it was seriously fun. But it was absolute nonsense. Like, it shouldn't have worked. And I had great players that were willing to go with it, and it was one of my finest moments. It's that and the time that I was working retail, and this theater company that I'd worked with before was doing The Odd Couple, which is a phenomenal play. And I was a manager, and so I did an audition because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get... I worked mostly nights. So I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get nights off to be able to do this. Well, one of the people from the show comes into my store and goes, "Hey, Judy." I'm like, "Hey, how are you? It's been so long." They said, "Yeah, we're doing The Odd Couple right now." I said, "Yeah, I know. I saw the announcement. I wish I could have auditioned, but I'm a manager, and it's busy this time of year. We're almost at back to school time, so I couldn't do it." They said, "Well, what if you didn't have to rehearse for months?" Like, well, the person playing Felix, or person playing one of the characters, they didn't tell me who it was, is just not working out, and we need someone to kind of step in and understudy him. And by understudy, I mean you're going to be doing it. I'm like, okay, well, what role is it? It's Felix, who is one of the 2 leads. It's Felix and what's the other guy's name?
Felix Unger, Oscar Madison.
Oscar, yeah. Felix and Oscar are the odd
Pull that out of my head. God.
And so Felix, one of the leads. I'm like, okay, sure. When do we open? Last night. I'm sorry? Yeah, we were supposed to open last night. We've delayed it a week. So when do we actually open? Next Friday. This is Saturday. I'm like, okay, let me talk to my boss. And I go in and I talk to him, and he's like, you have worked your ass off for this store. As long as you're willing to open the store, because I can't just give you a week off. As long as you're willing to open the store, we'll work around your schedule. And so, yeah, I got my script, or they came in on Friday. I got my script on Saturday. I rehearsed Sunday, Monday, I rehearsed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Our final dress was Thursday, and I couldn't go to final dress because I had to close the store. They couldn't get someone to cover for me. And then we opened Friday and we ran for 3 weekends. And yeah, I learned an entire play in 3 rehearsals and less than a week.
Damn.
And the only issue we had was opening night, I forgot one of my lines, and the guy that was playing Oscar had to basically feed me my lines for a scene because I was just completely lost. And that was the only thing that happened, and the audience had no idea because he was so good. He was a professional actor at one point, and he was doing community theater just because he wanted to. And so I was with this unbelievably talented actor and me, and yeah, it was the most nonsense thing I've ever done in my life. So that, and then running an RPG with 2 minutes of prep.
Very cool.
Anyway, you guys want to play some D&D that I actually prepped for? As much as I can for you monkeys.
Oh, as always, Matt Colville, let Dale Kingsmill name yourself.
Yes, Matt Colville. Dale Kingsmill is good at naming things. Also, she's apparently very good at making ice cream. All right. It is time for us to return to the legend of the 3 kingdoms. The party has uncovered something dark. After exploring an abandoned mansion, which was not quite as abandoned as they thought, they discovered some strange clues. After discovering an area that seemed to be set up for the preparation of cooking humans, and a strange arboretum with plant life, much larger and stronger than it should have been. The party eventually discovered that the aristocratic family that used to live there seemed to have some troubles. Sheet music and notes that seemed to indicate a budding romance between the court composer and the wife. A locked room that may have indicated something nefarious. And a garden with a plant seemingly designed to dispose of human remains, painted a very dark picture. After dealing with the carnivorous garden, the players decided to return to town to take a rest. And while they were there, they discovered the mostly emotionless town had at least one member that seemed to regain some of their emotions. His strange shopkeeper seemed oblivious to the fact that the rest of the town seemed completely emotionless. And every time the party attempted to bring up the fact, he seemed to dance around it. But obviously something has been changing, while the party has been searching for a way to the underground caverns and buried city that they saw on the model in the mansion. And that is where we return. So, since it's been, I think, close to a month due to health and other things canceling games, I think the last time that we played, if I remember correctly, you guys had interacted with the shopkeeper a fair bit, right? That I have. Say his name again, because I know
Yoderhay.
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 Yeah. Oh yeah, that.
He kept saying.
That guy, yeah, that's exactly who he was. Now I see. I was just making sure that you guys knew what it was. I, of course, being the dungeon master, who is master of all things dungeons, of course, remembered the person. Trying to remember where we ended the last time because
We had, well, I sent off a message via the Pearl. The sheriff had told us the tax collectors had been by.
okay.
When we questioned that, he's like, we questioned the time period and the fact that we had not run into the tax collectors because we actually should have and we didn't. And his brain was like, rebooting. I'll get back to you. And that was the last time we talked to him.
Okay.
Then we had the encounter with the shopkeep and the question about whether or not the food question mark maybe have something to do with it. We had a theory about that. And then the last thing we did was while Relwyn was trying to convince Vala it was a bad idea to try to teleport where you didn't know where the hell you were going to end up. Argenta was using Move Earth to dig under the shop to get to the secret location access.
Okay.
By the time we were done accessing, Argenta was like, done.
I only went half Vala in that instance. I think that's personal growth.
But then we began descending by securing the rope to wherever and then descending.
Okay. So
I think
ahead.
I cast fly on 3 members of the party.
Okay. So basically everybody but I think Argenta would be the only one that you didn't cast fly on. 'Cause
I think
has...
Liliane.
Or Liliane, okay.
So I don't know if the 3 of us can like hold Liliane and descend with her, or
The fly spell does not really give you the ability to carry another person, because I think that's been brought up quite a few times, and it would not just in this game but in D&D 5th edition in general. And the consensus has been that would kind of break the spell if you could carry someone with it.
okay. Would we be able to slow fall with her?
I think it would cause the same issue of one of the benefits of casting the spell at a higher level is it allows you to target more people, and so by allowing you to just carry it kind of belittles the benefit of casting at higher levels.
Okay, fair enough.
However, I thought you guys did have a rope that at least one of you was using. Because you guys have shit tons of rope.
I think we had secured the rope, and then the last thing was Vala had
And the fly
to mitigate some people, because I know Relwyn would definitely he could definitely use the assist.
Rowan has a strength score, doesn't he? I mean,
He has a 0 modifier.
I mean, if anyone can climb it, probably really is, to be honest.
and
He can heal his own leg when he breaks it.
yeah. So when I fall to my death, I can resurrect myself if I'm conscious enough.
I smell almonds. That's not good.
I just imagine somebody getting like revivified and they coming up and going, "Does anyone taste metal?"
I taste purple.
Taste
Tastes purple.
purple?
Technically speaking, I have revivify.
It's like, yeah. So if you die, we could bring you back. Kind of. Hopefully. I mean, it's a better than 50-50 chance. Let's put it that way. But yeah, with all the work that you guys have done in this particular instance, I'm going
We're
to
just
say...
getting closer and closer to flatliners.
Yep. You guys are like, I'm going to prove to you that the Dark Lady exists. Watch this.
No, quick question.
Sure.
That I've been gone. When I was last here, apparently I was down with 50 hit point when I have used
We had a long rest and all that.
Yeah, you had a long rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys had a long rest, and Relwyn cooked for you, so you guys all have temp hit points as well.
Alright.
So yeah, everyone. To be perfectly honest, after the fight with the flowers, everybody was really tapped out, and you guys were thinking about camping there. And somebody made an offhand comment. It's like, you guys realize we're like a 10-minute walk from the inn, right? Like, we're not adventuring out in the countryside. We're in town. We can walk to like the Holiday Inn Express. You could check into the Marriott from where you're standing. Like,
There's nothing more spiteful by the DM though. It's like, well, you can't afford to stay in the inn because you're gonna have to camp. Oh, fuck you.
I was just
anyway,
trying
yes,
to
you
save
guys have
someone
had
from eating that food.
Alright.
you have had a long rest, and since I think you weren't here for the last session, you haven't used any of your resources since then. So
Yeah, I haven't been here for for 7 minutes.
well, I mean, things happen.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I hope it was fun.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna say, with all the like work and effort that you guys put into this, I'm gonna say, there's really no kind of difficulty in getting all the way down to the base of this Giga Cavern. So the combination of fly and the rope and everything, between the four of you, you're able to make it to the depths of this Giga Cavern without too much difficulty. However, the cavern itself is absolutely pitch black. Like, think of the darkest place you've ever been, and then turn the contrast up. Dark. The darkness is kind of so thick that it almost feels kind of like inky. It almost weighs on you. And as you guys get down, by the time you get to the base level, which is easily about 70 to 100 feet, you're not 100% certain, because eventually you were just kind of descending through darkness with nothing to kind of gauge it off of. How many of you guys have dark vision? Okay, so half the party.
Depending on the safety of the situation, Rowan can also cast light.
Yes. Well, that's my good question for you guys is, does anyone want to cast light? Because those of you with dark vision, something about this seems kind of off. Like, you can still see things out to most of your normal vision length, but you're about 15 feet short of what you'd normally be able to see with your dark vision. And Argenta, do you have 60 or 120 feet? That's a good question.
I have 60 feet.
Okay. So yeah, for those of you that have 60 feet, you can only see about 45 feet out, and then it just looks like regular darkness. Lillian, you have no dark vision? Okay. So, yeah, and Lillian, you've got nothing.
Does anyone object to me throwing out dancing lights?
Oh,
I want to use a spell slot as opposed to the cantrip.
Yeah, I think dancing lights is dancing light is a cantrip. So
Just a cantrip, okay.
Mm-hmm. It just gives different, like the light spell is effectively a torch, while dancing light, I think they only give like 20 feet of dim light per thing, so.
Well, the other difference is it takes concentration,
dim,
right?
dim light for 10 feet.
10 feet. Oh, yeah, so they're even smaller. But there's multiple of them. So, yeah, as you cast your dancing light and you suddenly feel the spirit of Gloria Estefan start infusing you, the rhythm is gonna get ya.
Yes. Okay.
As you cast the dancing light, you can see the little kind of balls of light, but they don't seem to be illuminating anything. Like, as you kind of get them away, you can see the light itself pretty far off, but even when you get them very close to the ground, the illumination that they're providing is next to nothing.
I don't like this place at all.
I don't see why. It seems very pleasant to me. What would y'all like to do?
Well, we knew something bad was underneath the town. Guess we're at least getting a
I
confirmation.
mean, do we want me to use my side comment ability?
I always forget that exists.
I mean, I would have no problem with that.
So if you want to do it, you're welcome to.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, for right now, because of where you guys dug, well, you are pretty dead center. So yeah.
What?
As you go ahead.
For my history, I wanna fucking happen.
Fortunately, that's not enough. Yeah, shut up. As you focus on the area, having done this quite a few times at this point, you've gotten kind of familiar with the experience. You know, a lot of times, like you'll focus on an item and you kind of get almost this slideshow of memories that, at the same time, both feel like your own memories, but then also are obviously not. And the first time you did it, it was kind of jarring, but now that you've done it quite a few times, it's just something that you expect. So as you focus on, and I'm assuming you're doing it on just the area you're in, right? You don't have an item. Okay.
Yeah.
So as you focus on the area, the first thing that you expect is kind of this kind of regression of flashback images through time. And that's not what you get. As you're sitting there focusing, you realize that nothing seems to be happening, which you're like, oh, I guess the ability failed. And you look around and none of your friends are here anymore. And as you keep looking around, there's nothing here anymore. The room that you were in but before, especially once the dancing lights were put out, you could feel the ground beneath you was rough and uneven. The room that was described to you by your friends was, you know, full of rubble and things like that. But as you look around now, it's almost as if you're standing on top of a pristinely still lake. But everything around you is black. Not dark, black. The sky is black. The ground is black. And it is an inky, dark, deep black color. It is so dark that it almost feels like the colors in your own clothing and skin are being drawn out of it. And as you continue to look around, again, trying to figure out what memory or what bad event it could be that this is remembering effectively, you suddenly see, relatively far away, the inky black floor suddenly starts to rise in a single point. You watch it getting taller and taller until it's roughly around 6 foot tall. And almost as if your eyes are slowly starting to focus, you start seeing more details. It is now not an inky black blob. It's now roughly humanoid shaped. Then you look at it again, you focus again, and you can start seeing the outline of hair, an outline of clothing, armor. And after going through probably 6 or 7 of these kind of passovers, it eventually just slowly more and more becomes the figure that you've come to know as the Dark Lord, who has just risen out of this inky nothingness. And he's standing there looking around, and he seems to look directly at you. And he scowls a bit and then turns away. He looks at the ground and he kind of raises his arms out, almost as if he was conducting an orchestra. Kind of raises his arms out and starts moving them in a way that you're, especially with the Order of Ghost Hunters, focus on hunting the undead. You are used to seeing the somatic components of magic spells, specifically necromancy, but you're very good at identifying them. You've seen the Dark Lord use necromancy before. This is not that. Whatever movements he's making seems to have power behind it, but it's like no magic you've ever seen before. They don't correspond to any school of magic, to any martial form you're familiar with, anything that mimics magic. This is something unique. And as he does that, you watch as other kind of pinpoints start drawing up from this inky black nothingness. And they slowly start forming into humanoid forms. And as you're watching this, things get faster and faster, very kind of time-lapse like. And he starts with humanoid forms, and then you start you start seeing him changing the landscape itself, putting hills and things like that. And then you watch his buildings start to rise, and then everything starts to kind of coalesce and become clearer and more detailed. And suddenly you see a town in front of you that feels familiar, but you don't know why. The town itself is very different from Middenwell. The buildings aren't in the same place. The layout, everything, the people don't really look that familiar, but for whatever reason, something about this feels very familiar. And you watch as time seems to speed up more and more, and the city kind of grows, and you watch as things change slightly. You watch as a statue is built in honor of the Dark Lord. You watch as the statue gets damaged, the statue gets torn down, and then you watch as the entire city just sinks. And then instead of appearing from the inky black nothingness, the Dark Lord walks in, does this strange thing, and creates another city. Much faster than last time, because time seems to be moving significantly faster. And this city looks very familiar. You start recognizing the inn that you guys slept at the night before. You recognize a few other buildings. You recognize the plot of land where the mansion that walked away was on. And you see things happening. You watch the house run away, and then you watch as everything slows down to normal speed for a moment, as a being you, I think, have only seen once or twice at this point, walks in, or floats in, is a more apt description. The being is completely encased in robes, carries a large scythe, walks in and slams the scythe on the ground. And while you can't hear anything, like this entire thing has been mostly silence, they slam the scythe on the ground, and you watch as the entire city kind of comes out and meets in the center. And in one quick swing of the scythe, every single person in the town, without the scythe touching them at all, every single person in the town just starts immediately withering and falls to the ground dead. And you watch as they slowly sink into the ground. And then you're back.
I'll take a few minutes to describe to everyone what I saw, but do see what I can give. I feel it will possibly edit into what is and was the was probably performed some of it magic. I'll describe the emotions and ask if that sounds like anything anyone else would recognize.
Anyone that wants to, you can roll a history check to see if you recognize the hand motions. Argenta, you can roll a history check to see if you recognize the arcane bullshit.
26.
Okay. Anyone else want to roll a check?
I don't think Rowan would know if it's like under that kind of context, unless it falls under religion, which I doubt.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't told me I did it, and I did so.
Okay. So, Vala, as you kind of focus on that, and kind of one of the things about being a bard in general is bardic magic, almost by definition, kind of bucks against traditional magical rules. So you're kind of used to, especially with kind of your combination of bardic and warlock magic, both of which break the rules. You're kind of used to looking at a magical effect and finding an alternative way to come about it. And so you're very used to this kind of idea of, magic's not nearly as rigid as a lot of people think. But every time you focus, and you even at a few points ask Vala to mimic the movements that or not Vala, you ask Liliane to mimic the movements that she saw, because the description that you're giving can't work to your understanding of even the broken magic that you're used to using. What Liliane is describing just doesn't work that way. That's not how magic works. That's not how the weave interacts. And the more you focus on this, the more you basically come to the resolution that whatever arcane bullshit was involved in doing this, it has nothing to do with the weave. Which, to your understanding of magic, each different flavor of magic, nature magic, divine magic, arcane, whatever, the thing that makes them different is how they interact with the weave. But the weave is an essential part of magic in general. Magic doesn't exist without the weave. This is non-weave magic, is the best description you can give, because nothing of what this person did has any way to interact with the weave.
And blood magic would be
Again,
is another way to deal with the weave.
Yeah, it's
something completely.
Yeah, it's a really dangerous, because the way that blood magic works is it creates a direct link between life force and the weave, which is dangerous under good circumstances. This is one of the reasons why blood magic is effectively outlawed, because when things go wrong with blood magic, bad things happen, which you guys have already seen with tearing the plains and things like that. But it's still, like, again, magic is just humanity's understanding of the weave. And this, from what you've seen, what was described and everything like that, it's not possible for whatever this was to have interacted with the weave in any way, shape, or form.
I will relay that to everyone. It's some kind of magic that doesn't rely on the weave, doesn't utilize the weave, doesn't interact with it. Just, it doesn't make any sense.
Me and I were arguing the whole way and
With
made a lot of sense.
with what Lillian mentioned about just for clarification, Judy, did the town sink after after the house walked away,
The
or did they
first
sink?
town sank before the house walked away. So
Okay.
there was a first town.
Yeah.
Statue
It
torn
sank.
down.
Statue torn down. That sank. A new city that actually looked
And
like
then the house that
Middenwell
walked
that you
away.
guys know.
Okay.
And that's when the house walked away.
Okay.
And then after
So
that incident is when the rogue figure came in, did the scythe thing. So that's the chronology.
Oh, the scythe came in after the house walked away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, and then so Roland will go like, and so now we're because he used it above, but now we're below. So he's definitely Roland's gonna like, I'm gonna try this now. Under context, I don't think there's ever a good reason to use it, but like he uses his eyes at the grave
Okay.
to see what he sees now, if anything.
And
Spirits.
remind me the
forms, such.
specifics of Eyes of the Grave.
Actually, pro tip: always click on the expanded because that's a summation. As an action, you can open your awareness to magically detect undead. Until the end of your next turn, you know the location of any undead within 60 feet of you that isn't behind total cover and that isn't protected from divination magic. The sense doesn't tell you anything about a creature's capabilities or identity. You can use this feature a number of times, blah, blah.
Okay.
He's really kind of
It's
equal.
undead sight, effectively.
Yeah. And so he's basically wondering if he's going to see any spirits, ghosts,
Yeah.
forms, ethereal, and such.
Good question.
What happens
As
when
you as you open yourself to
here's a dagger
kind
going
of
in the
connect
socket?
with any undead spirits around you, kind of similar to what happened to Lillian. When you look around, you see nothing. And as you look around more, you aren't seeing any undead creatures around you, any kind of undead magic. But as you look back towards your party, everyone is kind of outlined in this kind of shroud of undeath around all of them. So,
Does it go for Rowan as well?
as you look at your own hands, no. You seem normal. But everyone else in the party seems to be kind of both, like, full-on Schrodinger's cat, both alive and dead simultaneously. And you've used this ability before around your party members, and this has never happened.
Rowan will 100%. Like you see, like so I know you guys don't see this, but like he looks at you, he looks at each of you, and he's looking at his own hands like, well, that's concerning. Apparently I'm the only one here not enshrouded in undeath.
Wait, what?
Oh.
Yeah.
Reflexively, Argenta will reach into her pack, pull out powdered iron, and cast
You're you're
protection from evil and good on
you're
herself.
you're alive. I see that as well, but it's also a simultaneous
Uh,
haze about everyone else but me.
wow.
Argenta, as you cast the spell, as it takes effect, and you cast it just on you.
Yeah, it's just on
Okay.
me.
So as you cast it and it takes effect, you feel everything around you get, for lack of a better term, thicker. Anytime you try to move, it's like you're underwater. And the longer the spell lasts, the thicker the kind of water feeling gets. Where at first it just kind of feels like you're in water, and then kind of something thicker, like maybe mud, and then molasses. And the longer the spell is on, the more difficult it gets for you to move. You don't feel any pressure or anything, and it's not like you're being crushed or anything. Um, it's just getting significantly more difficult to move every second that the spell is on. So what would the rest of you guys like to do?
Does seeing Argenta do that, Relwyn, does Argenta still have the? Do they still look the same?
I think it only lasts for a round, right?
Yes, I will. It'll last for an round, but I will use it again if I can.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry. When you try to look at Argenta, you just see effectively like he's been green screened out. There is a lack of Argenta in your vision. He's just an empty void. Or she's just an empty void.
Yeah, so it's just just a blank space is in front of me right now.
Yep.
There, it's not. It's not that she's not there. It's where she's standing. There's an absence.
Hi.
After a couple seconds, I'll just drop concentration on the spell because it's going to make me useless.
And once you do, everything feels, I wouldn't say normal, but you can move normally.
Obviously, when that drops it that long enough for me to see her come back into view before I lose my.
Sure, we'll say that it happens within the 6 seconds that it exists.
Yeah.
And yeah, once it happens, Argenta's back and still has the weird undeath outline.
That's strange.
Do we think there's value in me using True Sight?
I mean, gonna use that like use my son.
I would suggest we just to say we've barely taken a step down here. I don't know if you're limited to how many times you can do that.
I could only do. So it uses this thing called a 6th level spell slot. It's very advanced. I can only do it once, but it lasts for an hour. All right, let's look around a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in my back pocket.
Rowan has like little cards, and they say like 7th, 8th.
I was like, only one?
So are you guys kind of moving
Yeah.
further in then, or
Yeah.
what are we doing?
Um, I think we're going to move in
Okay.
a little bit further in very slowly. I'm going to bring my dancing lights
Okay.
kind of into a cone.
And again,
Uh,
the dancing lights themselves are providing zero illumination. The only thing they're illuminating is you can see the dancing lights themselves, but they're not illuminating anything.
my theory, though, is that uh, I'm basically using them as feelers,
Mm-hmm.
as probes. So if like we run into the side of a building, the dancing light will disappear, I assume.
That's a good idea. Give me a second here. Just realized I didn't have this open. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-doo-doo. Okay. Theoretically, that should work. I hope. All right. So, as as you guys are kind of continuing to walk through this inky darkness, every so often you'll stumble a little bit because it is very difficult. And Liliane, you're effectively having to be led by by someone else because you are completely blind. Aside from you can see the dancing lights. So as you guys are going, you guys will stumble every so often because the ground here is not only uneven, but there's bits of rubble and other things that you go through. But as you've been walking for a little bit, you start to come across more complete ruins. Eventually, Vala, you start seeing one of the dancing lights just start to kind of get cut off. And as you turn towards it, you can see probably about half a wall in various states of disrepair. It has a window in it that has no glass or anything in it. It's just really more of a window frame. And obviously, there's an interior of a building on the other side of it, though without exploring it, you have no idea what's in there.
Okay. Do we want to go see what's inside this building?
Why not?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll start moving over to the building, seeing if there's anything inside of it or not.
So you guys wander over to the building. Are you going to try and peer through the window, try and go through the window? The window's large enough that you guys would have no trouble getting through it. Or do you want to kind of circle around to see if you can find an opening somewhere?
I'm gonna kind of peer through the window, make sure there's nothing on the other side, and then step through it.
Okay.
I will leave one of the dancing lights on the window.
Okay. So as you peer in, the first thing that you notice is it seems to be a bedroom. Like you can see a bed. There's no mattress on it, but there's a bed frame. You can see what probably used to be a vanity, though it's damaged beyond repair. You can see the fragments of a stool nearby. And on the far wall, you can see the remnants of part of a door that used to hang there.
I will go and check out the vanity, see if there's anything.
As you get closer, you suddenly start hearing the sound of crunching glass underneath your feet, and you realize you must be walking on the remnants of the mirror of the vanity. But as you look down to see There's nothing like you expect if you're going to look at a mirror. You'd see some kind of reflection, even in the pitch black darkness. A mirror will still look different than other objects in dark vision, despite there's no vision or light for it to reflect. It still looks different. And as you look down, you don't see anything to be crunching underneath your feet. You can feel the shards of the mirror, but you can't see them.
Okay, this is weird. I will kind of like bend down and put my hand on the floor.
Okay.
And very carefully try to see if I can feel glass.
Absolutely. Why don't you choose even or odd for me?
Oh, I'm gonna go odd.
All right. As you reach your hand down, you feel rough wood. Feels either untreated or severely worn wood underneath you, where you actually have to stop for yourself for a second because you can feel some stuff that might give you splinters. And so you kind of move your hand around and you feel the briefest moment of pain as you find one of these shards, and you're able to stop yourself before it pierces the skin. But you do find one of these shards, and it is extremely sharp. Sharper than you would kind of expect. I mean, if you've ever actually broken a non-kind of shadow-resistant mirror, they're sharp. Real easy to hurt yourself on, and this is like razor sharp.
Okay, I am going to use Mage Hand
Okay.
to try to pick up the piece of glass.
As you do, the mage hand reaches for where you felt the glass and comes back with nothing.
I'm assuming I have like a rag or something in my bag.
Sure, you can come up with this as something.
I'm gonna pull that out and then try to pick up the piece of glass with that.
Sure. As you pick up the piece, you instantly hear the sound of the cloth cutting, because this thing is extremely sharp, but you've wrapped it enough times that you don't think that you're in any danger. You're relatively certain that after you're done with this, the piece of cloth that you used is going to be scrap.
Got it.
Go ahead.
As I lift it up, I mean, do I see a piece of glass, or is it like it's invisible?
Nope. You can see where it's cutting your cloth, but as far as you can tell, there's nothing in your hand that you can see.
All right, screw it. I'm going to cast True Seeing.
Okay. As you focus on the spell, are you going to put the piece of glass down, or are you going to hold on to it while you cast the spell?
I will set it down on the vanity.
Okay. So as you start kind of conjuring this thing that you're relatively certain isn't real, like 6th level is nonsense. Those two words don't go together. But you figure you'll give it a shot just to kind of humor Relwyn. And as you sit there and you kind of focus... Sorry. As you focus the magic, you watch as...
I can feel you sliding me.
You feel your pupils dilate. And as you look around... the first thing that you feel is this just extreme kind of nausea, like your stomach is just dropped out from beneath you, and you have to kind of you have to kind of steady yourself to keep from just retching. And as you look around with your true sight, you can see, for lack of a better term, you basically see kind of wireframe outlines of everything around you aside from your friends. You can see the glass, and again, the glass has effectively no depth. It has width and height, but as you look at it, there's no depth to it. It is a single.
That explains why it's so sharp.
Yeah, it's effectively 2 dimensions, and everything in here seems to be kind of a collection of 2-dimensional objects. The walls themselves are 2-dimensional objects that are kind of stacked on top of each other, and you can see through a lot of the walls with your true vision. How far out does the true vision go? Is it 60 feet?
120 feet.
120 feet. So looking around, like, you see this effectively kind of wireframe representation of rubble and destruction. But it seems that nothing here has a 3rd dimension. It's just various 2D shapes that can meet through a 3rd dimension. And so by combining multiple 2D shapes, you can create the appearance of a 3rd dimension. But everything is 2-dimensional. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
This is like low polygon
Yeah.
video games almost. Okay. Do I see like any before I head out? Do I see like any like personal effects from people or?
No. As far as you can tell, you don't see anything that would indicate someone actually lived here. Like, you see furniture, which would indicate that, and obviously broken vanity and stuff like that. That would all indicate, but you don't see anything that you wouldn't classify as either a building or furniture. So
Okay.
anything that someone would use, you don't see.
Okay.
And
I
also,
will.
the ground is solid. Like, you can see through walls and buildings and stuff like that, but if you look down, it's just ground.
All right, I will head back out to the others, let them know about what I've done.
What I've done. Sorry.
So I found some. I found the vanity. I started stepping on what I thought was the mirror, but I couldn't like see it, and it was really, really, really sharp. So I picked some of it up, almost cut myself, succeeded not to, still couldn't see it. So I used one of those 6th-level spells, and I can see it now. It's all like it's everything in there is like really, really flat, and like impossibly thin. And I think if we could pick it up, we could make some really cool weapons out of it, but I'm afraid we will cut ourselves, and that's probably a bad idea.
That wouldn't be new for me.
So what our gent is gonna do is she's gonna start slowly adjusting the angle she's looking at things at until she gets that right angle to see things in 2D.
Yeah, aside from using True Sight, as much as you guys keep it attempting to see, like, you can still see in your dark vision the little bits and pieces of the walls in that, but anything like, if you stick your head into the building, you can't see the mirror shards either. You can see the frame of the bed and the wall, but
Okay.
And I will just lean over to Relwyn and go, so if I were to start worshiping the Dark Lady, like, how long would it take me for me to get those higher level spell slots? Like,
Is it like, just like, can I do like a 20-day like fasting? Does that work, or is it more of like
I'm not saying I want to bribe the Dark Lady.
You want to make an endowment?
I'm just saying. I, 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 there is value in those higher spell slots. Um, but anyways, it doesn't look like I didn't find any personal belongings. Like no clothes, comb, brush, paperwork, um, plates. Like it's just like the furniture, the bed. Um,
nothing that makes fire, and everybody has that.
Could it be an illusion?
I don't know that it was looted, but
No, some kind of magical illusion.
oh, I don't think it's an illusion. I don't think so.
You were able to pick it up, whatever it was.
Yes. Do I see that same enshrouding over anybody or over everyone else? And does
No.
Relwyn look different from? Do I see any differences
With
between all of
your
us?
true sight, yeah, with your true sight, the party looks normal. They're easier to see than with dark vision, but not by much.
No, you all look normal. I don't see that same shrouding effect. Shrouding? Trying to get Schrodinger, but
Schrodinger's vision.
Loading.
but as I look around, do I see anything that stands out?
I mean, the party does. Like, you guys are the only effectively three-dimensional objects you can see here. Your dancing lights would have faded because they're concentration, right?
They
And
are concentration, but I don't.
I believe true sight should be concentration too, isn't it?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Well, if they're still there, go ahead and look it up. But if they're still there, again, they look real, and you guys all look normal. Literally everything else you see, other than the ground itself, is effectively 2D objects. That
It's like we're in a shitty green screen and everything else, like we're in flatland behind us.
effectively, yeah. Excuse me.
It is it does not have the little C next to it.
Okay, so yeah, that it's not concentration. Then yeah, so if you guys remember what like 3D games looked like in the 80s, where everything was just wireframe models, it's effectively what you're seeing for everyone except you guys.
It's a Vectrix.
Yep, that's what it is. Vector graphics, guys.
Guys, I found the alpha of the alpha build of this Domain of Dread.
You can see in the corner, you can see a picture of some dude's girlfriend in a place that you're not supposed to be able to see, but because you're wall hacking, you can. And
Backslash id clip is your component.
I kind of I mean I don't know where we should go from here, guys. The only other thing I know that was mentioned was the that statue being knocked over. I don't know if we should try to find that, see if there's any clues there.
Yeah, do we see any signs of the statue?
Based on what you saw, you can kind of map out a way to get to where the statue was. It's not particularly far from where you started here, because again, you guys started basically a little bit off of the current town square, and the old city had a town square as well. It was just in a slightly different place. So, Lillian, if you just basically kind of think of what you saw, you can kind of lead them to where the town square was.
Yeah, oh, so headed that way.
Okay. Well, you can't see anything again,
Oh,
so you
yeah.
can direct them there.
Well,
I-
again, I have light as well. If that
If you'd
helps.
like to cast light, you can.
Okay. All right, does the Liliane have a shield or just a weapon?
Yeah, a weapon.
Put in your sword.
I do what I can do my.
So as the
There are orcs nearby.
light is cast, you can see all of your friends significantly easier than you could before. You are still having a hard time seeing anything else. Like, the light doesn't seem to travel anywhere near far enough. It only gives you about 10 feet of light. But it's enough that you're no longer tripping over yourself. And so by using it and kind of moving your sword in wide arcs to see as much as you can, it takes you a better part of 10 minutes to get to the place where you think the statue would have been. And when you guys get there, as you kind of round a building, even from about 120, 150 feet away, you can see pretty clearly the remains of the statue. And Vala, I think True Sight lasts for like an hour.
Yep,
Yeah.
1 hour.
So yeah, you everything else again is wireframes, but the statue is just like the rest of the party, is fully three-dimensional.
Yeah, this isn't like everything else. This just seems normal. Well, relatively speaking.
So you guys are still at this point like 120-ish feet away. What would y'all like to do? And despite it being well outside of the range of dark vision for all of you, you can all see the statue.
Is it glowing?
Doesn't seem to be.
I don't like-
When does everything else around it appear to be the darkness, or is there like an area around it that's clear?
The only thing you can see is the statue itself. You
Alright.
can't see the ground it's lying on, though you can kind of interpret where the ground is based on how the statue is. But the statue itself is the only thing that you can see.
I say we go towards it.
Straight little. Yeah, it's been described as unweave here. Or what was done. Sorry, what was done.
Yeah. Not real bad.
Give me a moment. Rowan will take a minute, approximately 10, and he'll ritually cast detect magic.
I have a wand.
So, depending on whether you want to use the wand or you want to use the ritual, either one of them doesn't take spell slots. So it's up to you guys. Neither of them detect any magic. No kind of magic in the air, no magic spells, nothing. This place is effectively almost an anti-magic field. Despite the fact that both of you guys have cast magic in here and it has worked perfectly.
All right, I think we should approach the statue then.
Yep.
Right? As you get closer to the statue, you guys start noticing that the statue itself is significantly easier to see. You can start to make out specific details in it. It's a very nicely made statue. It's carved out of marble, as far as you can tell, but it's a very dark marble, almost like a black marble or a gray marble. But the closer you get to the statue, the less you can see of the buildings around you. Even with your true sight, you start noticing that the buildings themselves seem to kind of fade.
Then you said that you would do one. Is it like, is it wobble, or is it like
It's in
movie head?
it's in multiple pieces. Like the head has fallen off. One of the arms is broken completely off at the shoulder. Another one, the arm was like the kind of stance of the thing, the figure itself was it had one arm that was kind of out like this, and there was a shoulder cape on it, and then another arm that kind of had a sword that he was resting on it. And so the one that was extended with it resting on a sword, that arm is broken off. The one that's kind of like this with the shoulder cape over it, it's broken at the elbow, between the elbow and the wrist. Basically the forearm is broken off, but the upper arm is still attached to the torso, and the hand is attached to the kind of rib cage. And then it's broken right around the waist. One of the legs is broken at the knee, the other one is broken mid-calf. And then the feet are still attached to the base of the statue, which is attached to the ground. And then the sword itself is completely intact, being held by the arm that's broken at the shoulder. Does that make sense?
Rowan takes off his glasses.
Rowan, are you okay?
Oh, yes, sort of. Oh, that hurt.
What?
There's pain behind my eye. Like a spike behind my eye.
Do we need to get out of here?
I don't see why.
the rest of you guys like to do?
Hmm. So aside from the statue being in a couple of pieces and being more visible than everything else,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything else unusual about this place? About this area? Is there any like ropes on the ground that were used to pull it over?
Not that you can see. And again, the more you focus on the statue, the less the rest of the city seems to exist almost. Like, after you spent like a good 10 minutes with the statue, you can't even see the nearest buildings anymore, which were at the very edge of your dark vision when you got to the statue. And now, like, you kind of glance over and you don't see anything.
Sorry, you may have addressed this. We were busy. Is there a face to this statue?
There is, but it's currently face down. Like, you can see hair.
It's like the back of the head.
Yeah, you can see the back of the head, but it's currently face down.
No, it was. Sorry, I guess I have a picture in my head. Is the statue toppled or is it broken?
It's effectively it. Basically, the legs broke, which caused the statue to topple, and from what you can see, when it hit the ground, it broke in more places. So it is both toppled and broken. Does that make sense?
Okay, it's not shattered.
No.
Okay, so
like it's there's still like the various pieces are still mostly intact. There's just very clear breaks.
Okay.
But there's not like rubble everywhere for it.
Okay, I was wondering. I thought the head was just by itself. It's more like a torso. Upper
Yeah, there's
part,
a torso. There's an arm that's broken. There's one of the arms has a sword attached to it. The legs are broken. Like the torso is broken around the waist. The legs are broken. One of them at the knee, another one mid calf.
Okay.
So there's like 6 or 7 different pieces of a statue.
Rowan is curious. He's definitely looking at the statues. He's rubbing his eye a little bit. Can we? Silly. Does Rowan know what the Dark World looks like?
The Dark World?
Dark Lord.
Dark Lord. Yeah. I mean, most cities have a statue or some kind of monument towards the Dark Lord. You were probably brought up with like picture books of it.
Okay.
Like he is considered a deity.
Okay.
To the point of even his power is considered to be above the gods, and that's why any worship of other deities is basically allowed by him. So
well,
yeah, you know
what it looks because like. My context is also a little bit from the other game as well, but I think also stands for the Dark Lady. Like, there's no face to the Dark Lady.
Yeah, no.
I didn't
Dark
know if
Lord
he had a
definitely
face.
has a face. Yep.
Okay.
He's rather proud of it.
Okay.
I'll try to hit on the head you and put it around.
Okay. Make me a dexterity saving throw.
Alright. That would be 15.
Okay. So as you reach down to pick up the head, as soon as your hands to touch it, you guys hear kind of a sizzling sound. And Lillian, you attempt to drop it, but it kind of sticks to your hands for a second. And you take... Let me roll the magic dice. Come on. You take 18 points of fire damage as you kind of remove your hands. And the experience that you feel is as soon as you touch it, it feels ice cold, like instant frostbite kind of ice cold. But as you pull your hands away, you can see your hands look like they've been burnt by fire. Like this isn't frostbite. This is actual fire. You can see a little bit like some tiny little blisters starting to form in some of the spots in your hand.
Okay.
Wait.
Oh,
I
God.
have never
Oh, are you okay?
have-
Are you all right?
Yeah, I think I'll be okay.
I'll bring the
Um,
dancing lights over to take a closer look at the hands, so Relwyn can take a closer look.
Yeah, I mean they look like Lillian like grabbed a hot kettle or something like that. Like they're second degree burns.
I have never had bubbles do that before.
They're mild second degree burns, but they're definitely, the blistering itself is kind of an indication.
I wonder if it's that. Um, I will touch it as a piece that fallen off.
So another piece of the statue.
Yeah.
Another deck save. I'll give you advantage on
Alright.
this since you're kind of expecting it.
Alright. He
Yeah, this time expecting it. As you touch it, you instantly feel uh, the pain. You only take a single point of fire damage because you're still touching something. But again,
Yeah.
it feels extremely cold, but it seems to be burning you.
Well, it appears to be the hole that you like if we get the food.
Okay. Well, we've surmised that's the whole of the statue's not nice to touch. Let's stop.
I mean, if we want to, do we want to see the face?
I mean,
Argenta, can't you do that mold earth thing?
I can. Why?
Well, I'm just wondering if we could use mold earth to lift the statue up a little bit to see the face. That's what we're trying to do.
I mean, if there's earth around it, Jetty, I'll try and just sort of
Okay.
excavate it.
As you try to kind of focus, your mold earth doesn't seem to have anything to mold.
You know, maybe we need to just get out of
it
here
was
now.
good. Let's get away from here for now.
Oh, I don't feel good.
I'm getting. Oh God, I'm gonna regret this.
I'm gonna. Lillian, could you hold your sword up?
Yeah.
He's like, he'll like, I know it's not razor sharp, not typically a blade's not typically razor sharp and sword, and it's just like, how do I look?
Okay.
Um,
Because now I'm having
He
a hard
doesn't-
time breathing.
He doesn't look.
He will say that it hurts to breathe a little bit.
He doesn't look pale, as in like lack of blood to his face, but like the colors in his face look kind of like desaturated, and as you kind of move the light around, like the color in his armor and his tabard, or surecoat, sorry, is significantly more pale than you remember seeing it.
I'll grab him, and I'm just gonna basically be hauling him back to the rope.
Okay. From where you guys are now, and with the various kind of obstacles, it's going to take probably at least about 5 to 7 minutes if you're kind of running through, or I guess closer to 10 because you're dragging a full-grown whirlwind with you.
I can cast fly on the two of you, and then you guys can get out,
Yeah.
and then me and Lillian can make our way back to the ropes and get out that way.
Okay.
So from my understanding, I'm just incredibly uncomfortable now. I think I'm still.
Well,
Yeah,
Jody,
I can navigate.
Yeah, it's not debilitating or anything like that. It's just noticeable. Over the next, like with fly, it'll take you about 5 minutes to get back to the rope. And over the next 5 minutes, Relwyn, you feel the effects of like the pain in your head goes from that little kind of point behind your left eye to kind of spreading out across the front of your head. You start to feel a little bit in the back of your head. The breathing starts to become a little bit more labored. It's starting to burn even more as you breathe. Your eyes are starting to lose focus, and even kind of looking at Argenta, she looks a little bit fuzzy. By the time you actually get to the rope, like Relwyn looks, again, very unsaturated. Not like pale as in sick, but just all the colors seems to be kind of draining from everything. And you're definitely hearing him kind of wheeze as he breathes or attempts to breathe.
I'm just gonna put him on my shoulder and start climbing up like firemen carry.
Okay. Go ahead and make me a strength athletics check. Which is going to be super, super hard for the barbarian, but let's
I'll
hope you can
rage,
manage
because
it.
why not?
Okay.
You rage and you huck me.
Yeah,
It's like, damn it, Relwyn! You guys just hear, damn it, Relwyn! And rah!
Let's see. First roll, not bad. Second roll, okay, 30.
30.
Jesus
30.
Christ.
Yeah, you, like, Relwyn, you, if you've ever been in one of those elevators...
It's Fezzik. It's Fezzik from Princess Bride. Just...
Well, if you've ever been in one of those elevators that goes up to, like, floor 100 in a building, that kind of strange feeling of a very, very fast elevator where you're like, ooh, ooh. That's Argenta right now. And by the time you get to the top of the hole and you kind of dump Relwyn out, Relwyn looks rough. Like his face is all kind of squinted, and his eyes are closed. You can hear him wheezing pretty heavily. Relwyn, as you finally kind of breach the surface and you feel kind of like sunlight on your face, like instantly it stops burning to breathe. It's still a little bit more difficult than you remember it to be, but it's no longer painful to breathe. And the kind of sharp pain that's been spreading through your head turns into a dull ache. And slowly it starts getting better and better. And Argenta, if you wait for like 5-10 minutes, you watch as the color slowly returns to everything, to his surecoat, to his skin, to his weapons, shield, everything. You watch his color just starts returning.
I think that Shroud of Undeath you talked about, along with, based on when I removed it temporarily, was protection from whatever effect is down there. Hey, the three of us are protected, you're not.
Why do you have it and I don't?
Maybe because we were brought here by the Dark Lord?
Because I was born here?
Yeah. He also I don't know if most people that were brought here have it. The three of us, have his attention, especially. That might be why.
I'm pretty sure I definitely have his attention.
Likely. Now that you're with us.
Vala and Liliane, it takes you guys closer to 10 minutes to get to the rope. But you guys are able to get there, and if you want to ascend, since you're not carrying another person, uh, you have no problem climbing up. Takes you another like 2 or 3 minutes to get up the rope. As you come up, you guys can see, by the time you guys get up, Rowan's looking a lot better than he was. Still doesn't look 100%. This colors in a lot of his stuff still looks kind of faded, but much better than when you saw him before.
Which is impressive because Rowan's coloring is actually blue-gray.
Mm-hmm. So what do you guys want to do?
How are you feeling now?
Well, I definitely feel better after we broke through the surface. The symptoms were not abiding getting away from the center of the town square. I only got relief after we got to the top. My vision definitely isn't blurry anymore.
You notice your eyes are still watering a little bit, but other than the fact that you have to kind of see through tears, your vision's back to what you used to be.
Do you have a water?
Oh, yes, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine now. I think that's the closest I've ever felt to actually feeling something literally draining the life out of me.
And it seemed to get worse when you got closer to the statue.
At first, I thought it was, but it didn't get better as we got away from it. It only got better after I broke the surface. It may be just the fact I was down there for a prolonged time. I'm sure getting closer to the center didn't help.
And none of us felt differently.
Well, again, the only difference between you and me is the fact that you were enshrouded and I wasn't. So it's very strange that I wasn't enshrouded. You all were. Argenta cast a spell to protect from this, and it basically hindered her.
Yeah.
That protects from good and evil?
Yeah.
So we may have some kind of a blessing on us.
Yes, the spell protects from essentially the effects of outsiders and undead, and when I erased whatever necromantic blessing is on us, I slowly lost my ability to move. So I ended it before I became paralyzed altogether.
Could try casting Identify on one of us and seeing if I can see if there's any kind of lingering spell on us.
Yeah.
We'll begin casting Identify ritually.
Okay. So after about 10 minutes, who are you going to cast it on?
I will cast it on Argenta.
Okay. So, cast the spell on Argenta. You're relatively certain that you have identified Argenta. Like, you know Argenta now. Not quite biblically, but like just up to that point.
I believe identify also tells you if they're under effect. Right?
Yeah. As far as you can tell, unless Argenta, you don't have any, because you canceled the Protect from Good and Evil, right?
Yeah, I don't have any active effects
Yeah.
up right now.
So, other than, I mean, it would detect like her cloak is, for lack of a better term, fucked up. A very strange kind of magic item. But beyond that, there's no like spell effect on her, or at least nothing that Identify is telling you about. There's no school of magic that's affecting her or anything like that.
Well, that immediately considering we know it's not working to say not real massive.
Yeah. Well,
It's like using a Windows program on a Mac. It just doesn't work.
we need a wine interpretation layer.
Or,
We can
I mean,
prove him.
you guys could all just move to Magic Linux, and then did you say Ubuntu? Is that where you were going?
No, I don't know. Steam Deck.
Yes, that's what it is. You guys can all, since you don't really like, other than Relwyn, you guys really don't like use the full Magic. So you could probably just go to like a Magic Chromebook and you'd be fine. Relwyn would want like a full on like gaming PC setup, but like Vala, Magic Chromebook's fine. Like you mostly just use it for, fire anyways.
Let's
so.
be
No.
let's see. Let's be honest. Bala with her propensity, with her propensity for heat, she's going to be overclocked.
First person ever to overclock
No.
a Chromebook.
Yeah.
No, Vala is running an M2 MacBook Air, so it just doesn't have the active cooling. So she just thermal throttles. Overpriced, underpowered,
Yeah.
style over function.
But fire the browser.
Yep.
But great battery life. So
Wow, Firefox works on so many levels.
so so I'm guessing that place is somehow cursed,
Yeah.
and the three of us are protected from it, but not Relwyn.
Yeah, he could say it, but I didn't feel like
Well, it's a strange protection, though. It's almost like an anti-protection, because what should be beneficial definitely isn't down there.
Well, but if protection from good and evil prevents outside interference.
And also, I would point out, whatever that effect is down there, there was no magic coming off of it. So whatever strange unweave doesn't seem to apply to that.
It does or doesn't?
Doesn't. There was no magic I could see.
Well, but like,
but it knows we massive, we wouldn't know.
yeah, I mean, I'm no student of the higher arts. We could probably have a wizard tell us, but I'm since all magic uses the weave, I'm assuming that detect magic detects that alteration of the weave. And if
Yeah.
something is magic and doesn't affect the weave, then maybe detect magic wouldn't detect it.
Apparently. Also, I'd point out one other fact, just as a reminder. The robed figure killed all those people
Yeah.
after whatever you did to make a house walk away. That was after,
Yeah.
not before the statue fell.
The statue was the previous. The
Yeah,
statue
yeah.
was the previous. Okay.
And then the statue walked away, and then that's when the robed figure did
Well,
a
the house
tappy.
walked away. There was no statue in Middenwell.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because it was a statue that crumbled. Then the town got replaced. Then the house walked away, and then the robed figure came in and wiped out the top town.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever those people are, those aren't the same people you all met before.
Mm-hmm.
Except maybe for some strange reason, the shopkeeper's different.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Hmm.
Um,
I don't know about what some thought that down there. I don't know. I almost feel like we need to go back down there and
Well, I mean, I hate to suggest why. I don't know why we should go down there now. Think. I mean, don't get me
I
wrong.
mean,
Because
whatever.
initially we were going to help people. That was the reason why. But it seems to be this town's just filled of 99% of unpeople. Unless there's something we can do for the shopkeeper. But he seems to be somewhat befuddled by whatever's going on here.
yeah.
I do wondering if there's some way we can undo it down there. I mean, whatever is going on down there is powerful, don't
Oh,
magic, I guess.
we don't know for certain that whatever happened down there is connected. It's odd. I certainly give you that, but I'm just wondering if. So we assume there was a town here before. There may have been some kind of an uprising
Well, there's no
against the
assume
Dark
there was a
Lord.
town.
Well, yes,
Yeah,
but I should say I'm assuming the chain of events. There was a town here before. They had an uprising, and the Dark Lord came in and destroyed the town,
But
flattened it.
apparently he was so petty about it, he didn't rebuild. He just put a new one on top.
Well, and
I
Do you
mean,
think it was more out of ego or more out of shame? I mean, why not just simply? I mean, he quite easily brought someone in and just had the entire town almost completely, entirely wiped out. Why not just replace? Why not replace the mistake as opposed to hovering it over like with a like when you a permanent stain and you put a rug over something?
I
I mean,
maybe he wanted to be thorough, and try to make sure that there would never be another uprising.
anyway, anyway, it's the same fact that so is the ground and the leaving that don't get underneath. to poison the world, so to speak.
Hmm. I mean, let's look at the facts. We know everybody here seems to be uh, acting differently, unpeople, as you said. Um, we know whatever's down there is having a negative effect on Relwyn, potentially anybody else that goes down there. But that effect wasn't the same as what everybody else is having.
I swear what season to walk super fast.
I'm just kind of stumped.
I had a very terrible thought. Again, this happened after the house walked away, whatever it was that you all did here the first time.
Yes.
That wasn't that, my understanding, that wasn't that long ago.
No.
He brought in that, whatever that person is, and did this. We had a very strange conversation with the sheriff.
Do you think he might be doing this?
I'm concerned for them.
Do you want to try to send them a warning?
The tax collectors came and went. Rowan is going to use the pearl.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to hold it up. Obviously, I believe I believe it's stipulated that they all hear me when I use the pearl. Like a one-sided conversation.
Yes.
I couldn't remember if they hear the pearl when the sheriff respond, or if it's only me.
If they're very very the pearl is meant to be clandestine. You know, it's meant to be a secret communication device. So
Okay.
it's meant to only be loud enough for the person using it to hear it, but it does produce sound. It's not like a mental thing. So if you guys huddle in close enough, you can all hear.
The understanding was it worked in a similar fashion to sending sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rowan will go over and he's just gonna use the pearl again really quickly and go. Found something very disturbing underneath town. Do you remember anything? Is there any gaps in your memory before and after the tax collectors came?
You wait for a moment to get a reply. Normally the reply is within seconds. After about 20 seconds pass, you start getting a little worried. In 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Nothing's happened. After about 10 minutes, the pearl kind of warms, which is what which is what happens just before a new message arrives. And you get a message back. No memory gaps I'm aware of, or anyone else. And that's it.
It's possible he was checking in with people. He didn't sound like, obviously it's a strange question I asked, but he didn't seem like the first time like when I asked him about the strange that the tax collectors came, but we didn't run into them, and he had a slight loss in the response, and he was a bit confused.
Mm-hmm. This seemed as normal as it can be. Again, there's always a little bit lost in the translation when you're using
Yeah.
any kind of communication device like this, but you don't detect anything strange.
Okay. And he wasn't like monotone like the people
No.
were in this. Okay.
He would have replied in the accent I normally use for him, but my brain is failing me, so. As you all kind of consider what's happened, you see the shopkeeper that you've talked to quite a few times come out of the shop, seemingly on an errand of some sort. And it kind of turns around to yell back into the shop. Oh, for Pete's sake, woman. You know, I've been doing this for so long, and then you just kind of the yakking over and over. I know how to get the right supplies. So if you want... And then this woman comes out. And she goes, well, I've told you a million times what to do, and every single time you bring back the wrong things. So, of course, I'm going to tell you again, because I don't want to have to go out and do the spending myself. Oh, woman, you're always talking like that over and over. And yet, you know, every time you've gone out and gone shopping after I've gotten the right thing, I go and I look at the things that you get, and you know what? They look the dang same to me. Like, I don't see the big difference. And it seems like a kind of regular kind of little spat between a married couple, but both of them are very full of emotion.
And before she wasn't.
No.
We did not hear her when he was talking at her last time.
We had a conversation with her. Sort of.
Yes, but she was also like when he was talking at her, she barely. Remember when he would go up and he would like we heard him going.
Wonder. We should look around the town and see if anybody else is
Yeah.
acting back to their normal self.
Unfortunately, that is where we're going to end it for tonight. As always, if you missed any of this, I do upload all these to my YouTube channels, youtube.com/TrainerJody, generally on Sundays. Otherwise, again, that is all for me today, and I will see you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.